Konnichiwa, Kawaii Critic here to review Preacher Season 2, Episode 2, Mumbai Sky Tower. So you see the Saint Killer, or the Saint of Killers, I'll just continue to call him the Saint Killer for now, because it's a little bit simpler. Anyways, he keeps walking on, and he gets ready to shoot Jesse, and as soon as he shoots his bullet, the preacher, Jesse, gets super lucky that this truck gets between the both of them and stops the bullet from hitting him. So as he continues to march forth, these townspeople come out and essentially Jesse, since he realizes he can't use Genesis on this Saint Killer, that he will use it on the people. So they start firing at him, and the Saint Killer, from what it appears, looks like he does take in pain, but is unable to be killed, but he just keeps sort of going, and he starts to actually gun down the people. So while that's going on, we see Tulip is fixated on the television while she's watching the explosion of that town they came from happen. And Jesse joins them and gets hooked in as well. And after the TV blows up and Cassidy joins them, they figure they should probably finally get out of there. So Tulip gets this boost from Cassidy to open a window, while the Saint Killer generally knows where Jesse is whenever he uses Genesis. We see that a little bit in this episode. Anyways, they manage to escape. The three of them drive off, and Cassidy is wondering what this guy is. Is he like a Terminator? They actually make that reference. So afterwards, Cassidy sees this t-shirt, and if you saw the previous episode, he was looking at the TV, and he saw some sort of commercial, and he sees this t-shirt that reminds him of this commercial. So we are then shown a few days ago where one of the angels that was still alive, I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but he's the guy on the left on this image, for those of you who don't know who I'm referring to. Anyways, the angel rides off, and I believe he goes to Las Vegas, where he starts to kill himself, gamble, and then kill himself over and over again. So at some point, he ends up killing himself in front of a studio, this sort of magic show, and he comes back, and the people actually are impressed by this, so he becomes a part of the show where he continuously kills himself for entertainment and then comes back. Meanwhile, Tulip leaves and with the others, and they arrive at this pub, and then Jesse and Cassidy end up talking with the angel for a bit. And the angel tells Jesse that he was the one who sent the Saint Killer. And Preacher talks about how after this sort of discussion, the Preacher, Jesse, discovers how the Saint Killer was using Genesis to track them. So then he tells the angel about the god and how he's missing. And after they sort of fail at that, Cassidy says that he is willing to take a chance at trying to make the angel talk. So Jesse decides to join Tulip, and they talk about one of the other people from town when they're talking with each other. And then after that, they want to waste some time, so they decide to go at it, as in have sex. So after that, Jesse wants to get married, and Tulip smacks Jesse after the proposal, not liking it, thinking it was a bit bull and boring, but then sort of smirks at the idea for a moment. And then Cassidy, as you can see in the image, pulls out some drugs and has the angel do the drugs. And then some shenanigans ensue where they're just having fun. And at some point, Cassidy does slip this sort of main question in there while they're doing all this frantic stuff. Meanwhile, Tulip and Jesse go for another drink, and then Tulip sees this guy, this bigger guy that she recognizes. And then when he leaves, Tulip runs to chase him, and this man is named Gary. And then I assume that this is someone that she was working with before, uh, based on their conversation. So, Preacher uh, discovers or pinpoints that it is, in fact, the jazz that God is looking for. So, Tulip talks with Gary for a bit. And he talks about this other guy that I suppose that she worked for was just Victor. But Tulip drops the phone that he had to call this Victor guy. So Gary grabs her and then they fight for a bit and then Tulip wins. So the preacher talks with the angel a bit more about trying to call off the Saint Killer and how that's not going to end up working. Tulip then arrives late to their wedding because they were already set up in that location to do that. But Tulip decides when she arrives that this whole marriage thing isn't going to work out, so she doesn't want to do it. Then, when the group gets ready to leave, Cassidy hugs the angel, and then Jesse wants to head on over to New Orleans, where he believes that he'll find more jazz and get a better clue as to where God is. And you can see the expression on Tulip's face where she sort of hates the idea already. Then Jesse uses his voice to help the angel find peace. And then after they leave, the Saint Killer arrives. And interestingly enough, the angel does, when the angel arrives to him, tells him the location of where they are. And then the angel asks to get out of this situation once and for good. So the Saint Killer shoots the angel, and when that happens, the angel's unable to come back, and then the Saint Killer walks on out. And that is the end of this episode. It's interesting that we had something so overpowered introduced like Genesis, and now we have the Saint Killer, which is immune to the Genesis, and now every time that it is used, we know that Jesse will be found as well as the others, and they will be put back in jeopardy. So we had our first. I suppose this is the first fight scene. I don't know. I don't recall one happening in the first episode. So that was It was a little short, but that's okay. It was interesting to see Cassidy do his thing, and yeah, I guess. Well, I don't remember when the other angel like died, but now I guess both the angels are gone. So that's a thing that's happening. Uh, it'll be interesting to see how many more unique things they can sort of introduce to Preacher. I mean, I don't follow the comics, so I don't know what other type of creatures, I guess I'll say, are in this type of show. Yeah, you have Cassidy, your vampire, and so on and so forth. So it'll be interesting. It seems like New Orleans will bring up some issues for Tulip when we return. I think it's going to continue on a regular Saturday schedule, except for this episode, which is right after the first one on the next day. So there's that. Anyways, that's my review of Preacher episode 2. And if you enjoyed it, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, bye!